call our meeting to order. All right, you have before you on the board the minutes of the June 25th meeting. A motion's in order for those minutes, please.
Make the motion that we accept.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Any correction or additions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Stewart, please mark all members present for this evening, with the exception of Mr. Conley, okay?
He did call me and let me know he would be unable to make it, so.
All right, thank you. Okay, with that being said then, you have only one item on the agenda for this evening,
Yes, sir.
and would you go ahead and state that item, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Angelos Christian, who is the agent for the property owner of United Dairy Farmers, has applied for three-dimensional variances. One is to construct a building closer to the front property line and to build the building taller than what is permitted, and then construct a new driveway entrance closer to the neighbor's driveway, neighbor being the Northern Kentucky Water District, closer than what's permitted. The site is located on Crescent Springs Road, 2 properties north of the bridge over I-275, and currently has 2 storage warehouses. The property to our northeast is a poultry farm. The property southwest is the Northern Kentucky Water District's main office. The 2 properties to the northwest have single-family residences detached, and the property to the west is a self-storage warehouse business. The subject property and all the surrounding properties are within the Industrial Park 1 zone, with the exception of the self-storage warehouse property, which is in the Industrial Park 3 zone. The Industrial Park 1 zone allows a variety of light office and industrial uses, including warehouses. Per the Direction 2030 Comprehensive Plan for Kenton County, which was adopted on September 4th, 2014, the recommended land use plan identifies the reference site as well as all the surrounding properties for industrial uses. The applicant is proposing to construct a cold storage warehouse that will be 112,101 square feet in area and be located in the front grassy area of the property that's there currently. The submitted site plan shows the proposed front yard setback to be 45 feet 4 inches. Section 10.22D4 states that the minimum front yard setback is 50 feet. The site plan also shows the proposed building height to be 68 feet 6 inches, and Section 1022D7 states that the maximum building height is to be 50 feet. The plan also shows the proposed driveway entrance to be approximately 28 feet from the neighbor's driveway, the water district. Section 11.3 F2A states that the minimum distance between driveway entrances on a 2-lane collector street, which is Crescent Springs Road, is 100 feet. Crescent Springs Road is a state-maintained road, and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet will need to approve the new driveway entrance. On July 26, 1993, this Erlanger Board of Adjustments approved the building height variance for a high-rise cold storage addition on the current front building to be built to a maximum height of 90 feet. So the request this evening is 1, for the front yard variance of 4 feet 8 inches, 2, the building height variance of 18 feet 6 inches, and the driveway space and variance of 82 feet.
Okay, on the third one, on the driveway spacing of 82 feet, according to what you read earlier, there was a spacing of approximately 100 feet between driveways. Is that correct?
Yes, and my math is way off.
Okay, then we're saying 82 feet here. So is that, we're saying that we're asking a variance between the 2 driveways to be 18 feet?
No, that should have been 72 feet of variance, so.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. There's a correction then on that.
Correct.
That need to be 72 feet.
72 feet would be the variance that they're asking for.
Now, for the benefit of the board and us, when you're saying driveway, are you saying from the edge of the driveway of the water district to the edge of their driveway, or center to center?
The ordinance reads edge to edge.
Edge to edge. So in other words, you're going over property lines and going to edge of the driveway.
Correct.
And my understanding is that from what the staff report is here, that any access, ingress or egress off of that change from what's already there, the one driveway that's there, has to be approved by the Kentucky Highway Department. Is that correct?
Correct, since it is, any new driveway entrance onto that road will need to be approved by the, and they would take that into account also about the spacing.
In other words, that would have to be in our recommendation or whatever, that whether it's approved or rejected. If it is approved, that it would have to be subject to that. Is that correct?
Yes, I will not issue a permit until
Okay.
they approve it.
All right, with that being said then, all of you, meaning the audience, that's either going to speak for or against, please stand and raise your right hand. Yes, sir? Now, wait a minute, you're talking about what's going to happen in other words, with the property? All right, we'll get to that. That's why, in other words, you have plenty of time for each person to speak. But I just requested, and it's procedure, that all of you that either are going to speak for or against, please stand and be sworn in, okay? It's a simple yes or no, okay? All right. Procedure is, do you all swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, thank you. Now, our next procedure is that the person that is making the request, please step to the podium and state your reason for your request. State your name, and then who you're representing, and your reason for your request, please. All right.
My name is Angelos Kristen. I work for United Dairy Farmers, and we are making this request to expand our warehouse, our frozen warehouse capabilities on the Erlanger site.
Okay, now, for a point of clarification, this is a freezer storage warehouse.
Yes, sir.
In other words, we understand that. You're asking for 3 variances.
Yes, sir.
The front variance is only going to be 4.8 inches, 4 feet 8 inches in the variance.
Yes.
The second one is a height variance.
Yes.
Can you give us sort of an explanation of why you need the additional height of 18 feet? No, of 18 feet 6 inches.
Yeah. Because of the constraints on the site, the amount of the space there is, in order for us to get the economics that we need from the site, we have to build up and higher than what, the traditional 40, 50-foot warehouse is, in order for us to get not only a return on investment, to make the investment worthwhile.
All right, so you're asking that because of in other words, in order to be able to get the maximum use
Yes.
out of that square footage. Am I correct in what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying?
Yes, sir.
All right, now, your third variance is the one that we were discussing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a driveway, and that's subject to Kentucky Department of Highways approval
Right.
for an ingress and egress. First of all, what type of driveway is that?
It's going to be primarily for our motor vehicles that come in and out off of the property.
Well, now, let me get an explanation on that.
Yeah.
Every vehicle is a motor vehicle, one way or
I'm
the
sorry,
other.
I get.
Right, is it cars?
Cars versus tractor trailers.
So it's gonna be your car traffic primarily?
Yes, sir.
And the other side driveway, the existing driveway is gonna be
Tractor trailers.
be the same as it is used now.
Yeah, but currently, all traffic comes in on that existing driveway.
To this current stage, have you approached the highway department?
No, we had preliminary, just brief conversations with them, but we wanted to make sure that we had our ducks in a row with the city prior to going and asking the state's permission.
Now, from the edge of your property line
Mm-hmm.
to that driveway is approximately how much?
From the edge of the water districts,
No, yours.
from the edge of our property to
Yes,
their driveway, I don't know the exact distance. I'm gonna guess it's
Yeah, I sat there trying to find that today.
Yeah, if there's,
And trying to
actually,
find it.
if you don't mind, I could refer to.
Also, I couldn't find how far theirs was from the property line over to the driveway, but anyway.
Yeah, it's not a great distance. The property line kind of runs through a treed area where there's trees on either side. Their driveway kind of obviously tapers out quite a bit. So it comes, I don't know, 20 feet within the line.
So the only thing we can assume in this is that according to what we have here, that the distance between the two driveways is going to be approximately 28 feet. Is that correct, Mr. Stewart?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, sir.
Now, somewhere in there lies the property line
Yes, sir.
between you two.
Yeah.
And that would only come through, that would only be if the highway department approves that.
Correct.
Okay, that answers my questions I have. Anybody on the board have any questions for this gentleman?
I'm sorry.
All right, anybody have any questions for this gentleman on the board?
I do not.
Okay, all right, you may have a seat for the time being. All right, those of who would like to speak next, please approach the podium, either for or against. And please direct your questions to the board, and then we in turn will direct those questions to get your answers.
My name is Dave Flick. I live across the street.
You're in the house with the circle driveway, is that correct?
No, sir.
You're on the White House.
I'm the White House.
White fence,
Yeah, their driveway matches up with mine
right now,
Current drive.
currently.
current
Yeah.
driveway, correct.
And my
Okay.
first question is, are there any drawings available to us to see any renderings of what this building would look like?
We don't have any. Did you get any, Mr. Stewart?
No.
I
All
mean,
right, well, that answers your
My
question.
experience usually at meetings, they have a sketch of what the building would look like with the landscaping and everything. I have concerns about, I know in other counties, you have to have compressors that are on the roof, have to be hidden from the road. Is there any stipulation on Erlanger about having those hidden? What kind of lighting is going to be on the building? Are they going to be shielded? And what's the hours of operation?
Okay, so you're saying your questions are about lighting? And you're talking about if there's an additional height on the roof, or
Or are the compressors visible?
are they visible, okay?
Yeah, and my rough guess, it's probably about a 6-story building. 6 floors, equivalent to a 6-floor building.
If you base it on a
On a-
average of 10 foot per floor, less the distance between the floors,
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, my question is, what kind of lights are on there? Are the compressors on, are they rooftop units even? We don't know that. What's the hours of operation? What kind of landscaping there is going to be to kind of hide it away? Is there other signage?
anything else?
That's it for right now, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you, and we'll try to get some of these answers. Anybody else?
I just have just a couple questions about, like, the
All
driveway.
right, state your name.
My name's Tom Rawl. I'm the son-in-law of Carol. She lives directly across the street. She has the round driveway where you were just talking about the round
And
driveway.
you're the son-in-law, you said?
I'm her son-in-law, yes.
Okay.
And I have questions, one about the driveway. I don't know why, I mean, they have one access. Why do they need the second access? There was nothing brought up about that. And I do have concerns of the overall look of the building because she will be directly looking at that facility when it's finished. If they're gonna do anything to, to make it appealing to the eye. And I guess they're only looking for 5 feet forward. Why can't they go 5 feet back? I mean, are they constrained moving the building back. So and that's really about all I have. Is there anything else that you think that?
No, I would like to know how many, how much traffic are they expecting?
Yeah, is it gonna be added employment? There's gonna be more people there?
Is it just employees or how much traffic?
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Mr. Christian? Two or three things, okay?
Yes.
And we'll try to get those answers for these people that they have asked for. Get you to give us that, those answers.
I'll do my best.
Before I ask you, I want to clarify some points with Mr. Stewart, okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stewart, I believe that lighting cannot light into the neighborhood, but must reflect back to the building. Is that correct?
Correct. It cannot glare onto the road or any neighboring property.
Cannot go beyond the property or
The property line, right, correct.
beyond the property line. Okay, lighting cannot go beyond the property line. Are you aware of that, or?
I was aware of it. Somebody had previously, I don't do well reading zoning documents, but we had somebody read various elements of it, and we were somewhat aware of that.
But it's understood with you
Yes,
that this lighting cannot go beyond the property line, providing this would be approved.
yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Stewart, in the zone that this is located in, and you clarified that as being if I'm not questioning it, it's a light industrial zone?
It's Industrial Park 1 zone.
All right, meaning what?
This type of use is permitted.
All right,
Light industrial and offices
okay.
generally.
All right, now that type of use is permitted within that zone. Obviously, they're there now, but I mean, this is an extension of it. Okay, now, with that being said, with the building, the next question dealt with roof visibility. Is there anything in those zones, when they're in the ordinances, according to those zones, that says that if there's a compressor on that roof or anything else, that has to be shielded?
I'm unable to find it quickly in the zoning ordinance. It seems like there's something somewhere that talks about screening from neighboring properties, but I will look into that. And if we have something, it will be enforced on the plan review and
All
permits.
right, okay, that answers part of that question. Answers the question. You're saying that if it's in there and it's required. Now, let me go back and ask you a question then.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, if it's a freezer type storage, there's a tremendous amount of compressors and so on for that size building. Where are those located?
The compressors are inside of an engine room or compartmentalized in an area. So we have an engine room where all the screw compressors that, and I'm not a refrigeration guy either, but that create the refrigeration would all be inside of an engine room.
So what you're basically telling us and telling these people here is that there's no rooftop compressors on that building, that building.
There could be condensers.
Somewhat?
Condensers. Help me out here, this is Tony from Primus. He's with the design build firm that we've been working with, and he knows a lot more about the design of the refrigeration system.
All right, please come up to the podium and explain the question so that, so that we'll all understand.
Sure. Like I said, my name's Tony Dembick. I'm with Primus Builders. There are two different types of refrigeration systems we're contemplating right now. If we do a central ammonia system, as Angelo said, the compressors will be inside the facility. You won't see the compressors. However, there would be a condenser that sits on the rooftop of the lower section of the structure. which is not at the 68-foot level. That's more to like a 30-foot level. Now, if they choose another type of system, it'll be more of a Freon type system, in which case they'll have packaged units that sit on the roof. Those are compressor / condenser packaged units, and those are generally housed by insulated metal panel, similar to what you see on the siding of their existing facility.
Okay, now, we're a little bit at a loss when you're speaking about different elevations of the building.
Okay.
We do not have a set of drawings. We do not have a picture, external picture of the building with the elevations, you know, the four sides.
Okay.
And you just referred to a 30-foot section?
Yeah.
Would
So,
you-
the warehouse itself, the big freezer box is where we're applying for the variance. That's the 68-foot 6 elevation. However, there's dock, office, and support structure that sits slightly lower at 30 foot. Attached to the 68-foot structure. But,
I understand.
okay.
I understand. In other words, that would be on the to side of the property. No, on the back side of the property.
No, you're correct.
The two
It's
side.
along the current driveway side of the building.
All right, okay, I go back. It'd be on the to side of the property where you actually, dock side is where you load and unload on.
Yes, sir. Right.
Or would unload and unload.
The
That's
elevation.
only 30 foot high.
Right. The elevation from Crescent Spring Road, you would see both the 68-foot elevation and the 30-foot elevation.
So in order to, if you were to shield that, then that would only require on the road side. In other words, on that rather than enclose each particular area.
If it were to be
Visibility
shielded, it probably would have to be shielded from both road and adjoining
from
properties.
the to a side. Okay. All right. You understand what we're saying?
I'm not sure I do.
All right, you were saying that, and this is what you're telling us, that on the 30-foot section, that's where the actual, where you're doing, coming back in and unloading, but the area between basically where you unload the dock space and where you actually go into the freezer compartment, and where you do your in and out loading, or
Yes,
would
sir.
do it.
Right.
The surface above it is where you're talking about, that's where the compressors and everything would be located.
There would be a condenser.
Or the condensers and the compressors would be in a separate room on that location, in that same area.
Yes and no. Let me try one more time. So if we're talking about two different pieces of equipment, so if we have a compressor, it's going to be housed inside the building. You will never see it unless you were to walk in there and visually take a look. But if we have a central ammonia system with a condenser, that would sit on the engine room roof, which will be located, which would face, I believe, Tui's, and located, I don't know my directions there, I'm sorry, but away from Crescent Springs Road, if you can follow me there.
Now, we're talking about that's if you use the type of compressors units that would be housed inside the building and a condensing unit that's merely sitting on top of that roof.
Right, right.
And you mentioned there might be one of two.
Yes, sir. Now, there's another system they're looking at that would be a Freon-type system, in which case every compressor package would have its own condensing unit. So in lieu of, one condenser on the roof, we're going to have 4 or 5 smaller condensing units. However, those are housed inside and basically shielded or screened inside an insulated metal panel house, if you will.
All right, now clarify for us who they is.
Pardon me?
You said, explain to us who they is. You're talking about they were looking at two different,
United Dairy Farm,
Yeah.
we're still somewhat early on in the design phase of the building. We've done architectural design, we've done some civil design work, basic civil design work, but as part of this process, we're evaluating two different types of refrigeration systems. One is a Freon system that Tony was referring to, which is basically shielded in itself. It's in insulated box. So there's no, the compressor, the condenser, all the mechanicals are actually shielded in a box. So there's nothing visible, from the street or anywhere else. It just looks like the type of insulated panels we use. The second system that we're reviewing is more of what we have today, which is a central ammonia system. And in those systems, you have screw compressors, but they are actually inside the building that, do their thing. But with that system, we would have to place rooftop condensers on that dock area, which would be furthest from the road, facing the Tui's property. So that 30-foot elevation would have two condensers on the roof. Those might, require shielding based on, what you guys determine. The Freon system requires no shielding because in its design, it's shielded in box.
okay, now that's somewhat of a clarification on the condensers and compressors.
Yes, sir.
All right, now, let's go back and look at the other issue of the driveways. Okay? Now, to answer one of the questions, with the warehouse being, if this warehouse was put today, how much additional employees or how much more traffic would be involved versus what's there right now?
Employees, this warehouse is being designed, not to bog down in a lot of technical jargon, it's designed to reduce the amount of labor that is required to run it. So I would say we already have our existing staff for accounting and billing and all those things, so there's no additional clerical work coming into play. Warehouse operators, people that would come there to work incrementally. Once we get up and running over a year, 18 months' time, you could see an additional 30 employees on the property.
Additional how much?
30,
30.
that's just a
All
guess.
right, now, for clarification, for the people and what was one of the questions brought up, I believe right now your operation runs almost 24/7. You have trucks that leave as early as 4 o'clock in the morning,
Parts of it, yes.
sir?
Parts of it, yes.
On regular route, running
Yeah.
to distant points. So, in other words, am I to assume this would be the same for this building, or is there a schedule for this building that's different than your normal operation?
This building is going to be different. On the property itself, there are multiple entities. We have Wild Flavors is based there. They have their own schedules. And RX Crossroads is a pharmaceutical company. So there are multiple entities as well as United Dairy Farmers. And throughout the various days of the week, some do operate 24 hours a day. This building's a little bit different in that we're planning to run 2 shifts, and it's driven primarily to this point by economics. So you could have a first shift starting at, roughly 6 a.m. going 8 hours, and then a second shift coming in and probably be shut down from 10 until 5 in the morning the next day.
So primarily you're talking about you're only gonna run approximately 2 shifts.
A first shift, a second shift is at least our initial.
All right, now, that answers the question as far as traffic flow with the use of this building. And we've talked about the employees. The the additional
Yes.
people, which probably is, standard for that size building, okay?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit less than, but yes, for that size.
All right, now, it's hard to address the building, like I say, without plans for the building. But it has to be addressed because I can understand it from the standpoint, or we can understand it, from the standpoint of the neighborhood. We talked about lighting, and the lighting can't go beyond the property. The next thing, 2 other areas now that we haven't approached that have been brought up tonight.
Yes, sir.
One is signage, And most of the signage now, I believe, on that property is just taken care of by a sign out at the road.
We have a small monument sign.
There's two signs, I believe.
Yeah, it's
The
one
minimal
sign.
signs, low-level signs.
Yes,
So you're telling us that there shouldn't be any signs on the side of the building?
no.
And so in other words, are the signs that are there going to take care of this building?
Yes, as far as any type of advertising or sign, when you come onto the property, there's a multitude of signs. These trucks go this way, that way. But as far as from the street, just be a
Only
small.
the two signs that are existing would take care of that?
Yes, sir.
And, okay, now, I assume then that leads to the last question that was brought up. And that is, again, we're asking, this building has, we can't exactly say how long this building is. We've said how high it is. What about landscaping?
Well, I'm going to allow one of the gentlemen from Primus, because again, we're still in fairly early design elements. So I'd like one of the technical people to answer that question for you.
All right?
My name is Shannon Mallory. I'm with Primus Design Build. I'm in the design department. Speaking of the landscaping, we are in our, I guess, preliminary design phase of the project, so we're in the very beginning stages, going through code review. Whatever the ordinance are of that industrial is what we'll match. We don't have anything laid out at this point. I know that existing, there's some trees out there now. Our footprint is showing taking some of those down. So there's some more investigation that needs to be done on our end as far as the landscaping goes.
Okay, that's not, I don't think that's particularly the question that the neighbors are asking. They're basically asking us to cross the front of that building, rather than just be a straight up and down building with a foundation, on a foundation, is there going to be any kind of shrubbery and accent across through there that breaks that up? And the reason I ask that is that, you know, they've asked it. And I think they deserve an answer to that. Is there, I guess our question is, you know, we don't have the drawings and we don't have a picture of what the elevation and what it's gonna look like, which does put us at a little bit of disadvantage and puts them at a little disadvantage. Sir?
We do have them, I'm sorry, it's hot off the press.
You have the drawings?
It's an elevation.
Well, that's what we need. And then we would like for them to be able to see that also.
We were so preliminary, there's no landscape drawing that doesn't need to be
This is what they'd be looking at right here.
Yeah, this is the Crescent Springs side.
And according to this, there's only 5 feet in between that building and the parking lot. You can't put much landscaping in there.
5 feet between it and what
If
now?
I'm reading here correctly,
No, there's 40-some feet there.
between the parking lot,
Pavement and the building.
Oh,
building here.
oh,
parking
okay,
lot
I
here,
understand.
5 foot.
Yeah.
So,
On this end of the building, we plan on putting the sidewalk and then there is a walk down before the parking will stop, going in the direction. We got the opportunity to landscape. It's a big building
yeah.
for industrial use. That's,
Looks very industrial.
It does.
and those are 29 elevations. We haven't done any kind of, you know, studies on all of this.
You know, I keep looking for length, width, and height. We've got the height addressed tonight, but we don't have any of the length and the width.
Okay.
Is there a building currently on the property?
Yes.
It's on the
back
plan
here.
here. It's 404 feet roughly.
That's what I thought. Was that going from this corner to this corner?
Yeah,
Okay, and then 277.8?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's 277.8 and.
By 403?
By 403.
Eight.
And this is
Yeah,
403,
so right now,
Yeah.
this is all grass.
and then this is 277.
Right. So you just do some simple math, square footage wise. Huge field, but a lot way back here, and then put building back this.
So we're talking about this is Crescent Road out on this side of the building. We're talking about the engine room, we're talking about it being down here, and the existing facility is off to the south of the page there.
Now, the question is, when the engine rooms, if they're here, the condensers you're saying are going on top of this and not be down on this end? The office is on this end?
Correct.
Right, is that correct?
We'll have windows and pods and canopies.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes, sir.
I think in all fairness to the people that have come to the meeting tonight, that we need to take a few minutes and let them come, you all, have a table area somewhere that they can spread those out. And let's take a few minutes and, sir, and let them see the drawings and then, and go ahead and, we've answered as many questions for the people as we can answer, except that there might be other questions.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, because of parking there. Right.
All right, please spread the drawings out now of the building, the elevations. That's it. And you people want to come up and look at those, and then let them explain to you now that what they have and what it is, if there's any questions each one of you have, and then we'll go from there.
That's 111,000 square feet, 111 square feet of grass. She asked what was there now, and I said it's grass,
That's right.
and it's 111.
Is there anybody from the water district? Is there anybody from the water district? They don't care about that?
Nobody's there working water
They
district.
don't care.
Because it's paid. I'm assuming I'm assuming that not being present, that's just like,
Sure.
that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
They were notified.
Yeah, yeah.
this is a tough situation.
Because we don't have a final drawing, there's a lot of decisions to be made.
That's part of it, but also you've got a lot of industrial zone over here, and you got people living over here. And only two houses. Two.
Because this is that you store it place, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What was that first industrial or the houses?
To his farm, and
Two is right here.
yeah, and they had a bunch of here, and
This is two.
this house is
Yeah, this is,
massive.
Oh, okay. I was having a hard time figuring out what theirs is.
Big
I know
white
where
pillars,
this is. Yeah.
highway in the back.
this one, but this one's a beautiful piece of property. It's sharp.
Yeah. You could transport that
That's got
on
the-
100 acres in Independence or
Got
something.
the white.
It's the highway. It's it. But this is industrial over here, then all on the other side where, what's it called?
It's a,
Yeah, I mean, it's very industrial area.
it's a low end.
Right, yep. Yep.
Well, I wonder if these, I'm gonna ask you if these employers have a base in Erlanger, are they gonna be giving you Erlanger? Are they gonna get their payroll taxes, or are they gonna be commuters? Because our economic
Yep.
benefit. How's it going?
And there's no kind of landscape screening you can do across there.
But I think this, Oh, no, they have to see it, you're right.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, and then I kind of felt uncomfortable just having this.
Yeah.
And they haven't seen that either.
Pardon?
Want me to provide it? Normally people have, at least in my experience. Right.
We could not have been given drawings without them having an option to see them. We could not do that. So that's why.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I think there's 5 feet between that parking lot. And then you got the variance. Right. I feel bad for the grass cutters, that's who I feel bad for, the grass cutters. They're more grass to cut. I mean, think about these things. That should be, I'd like to get that plowing account. That'd be awesome. Blacktop.
Okay, now,
Now we're getting off, well, off the.
all right, now, gentlemen, all right, now, before we get into, discussion about when, what, and where, you all have any questions relative to the drawings? In other words, you've seen the plans as to what's there. That's all they have to show you. They've given you elevation based on the road frontage going down Crescent Springs Road. The other elevation facing to us, the back and front elevation. So with that being said, any other relative to the drawings themselves? If not, then would you all have a seat, please, and then we'll address any other questions that might need to be addressed.
Did we ever get a final height on that? Did I miss that? Or is that still to be determined
I'll finalize on what section.
on the big tall section?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what these numbers were up here, okay.
Yeah, and then that's a variance of that.
Do we know how tall this building is in the back?
All right, based on the information that we have, and we've been given tonight, and with the exceptions of a finalized set of drawings, but a drawing showing the different elevations of the building, and the information that's provided that we've been given relative to the questions that the people have here, relative to the building and the location of the building, that we can answer or that can be answered by them. Is there any question that hasn't been answered, or anybody that has a question that hasn't been answered, other than, that's applicable to this? What we've stated tonight, the questions that were brought up and the answers that we've gotten for you, the elevation. Okay, with that being said, then we'll go ahead and close this part of the meeting to the public and to the presenters. And then,
Rory, can I ask a question to Mr. Christian?
yes, ma'am.
You mentioned the economics for the building, and will these 30 potential employees coming, will they be Erlanger-based employees, or will
Oh,
they
yeah.
be commuters that just kind of come into a route and pick up?
That's hard to say. I started to say yes, ma'am. I didn't listen to the whole question. I apologize. We're going to end up hiring folks from all over, more than likely. Certainly, we have, more than a half a dozen to a dozen of our existing 100+
Not necessarily
employees.
Erlanger residents, but will their employer address be?
Oh, yeah.
Erlanger.
No, they'll all be Erlanger, yes.
Okay.
As are every truck driver that we employ, as well as the Wild Flavors employees that are based there, the RX Crossroads employees that are based there, they all have Erlanger addresses.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's my question.
I might ask one question
Yes.
relative to what she said, and clarification to these people too.
Yes.
With this warehouse being where it is, with the projected setting, what's being said and what's said for the need of it, then how much, the 30 employees, how much ingress and egress do you expect increase in what's already been there for years? You want to have 40 trucks a day, 30 trucks a day, or have you even?
I think your first number, if you look at a truck coming in and a truck leaving, we'll call that a turn, you're probably looking at early on 20, 25. When we would hit our peak, a year and a half, maybe 2 years in, it could be 40.
So you're saying 25 because of the nature of the storage that's in this building?
Yes, sir.
In other words, it's not, I guess for lack of a better term, it's not necessarily your ice cream storage.
No, there'll be other frozen. There's ice cream. We currently store ice cream for Kroger, Grader's, a number of people, and as well as our ice cream.
All right, you have any other questions, man?
No, thank you.
Anybody else on the board have any questions? No. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is an unusual situation, but we've heard the request this evening from the people that have asked for the request. We've heard the request of the neighbors. And with that being said, there is a motion that is in order. So, has anybody on the board would like to make a motion?
I can make a motion.
All right.
To grant the application of Mr. Angelos Christian to construct the proposed building 45 feet 4 inches from the front property line and to the height of 68 feet 6 inches, and to construct the new driveway entrance 28 feet from the neighbor's driveway, pending Kentucky Department of Transportation approval. The granting of this variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, and will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. The motion shall be pursuant to the factual determinations from the evidence provided, including, without limitation, the staff report, which is hereby determined to be accurate.
Okay, now that's a motion. I think that there's a probability that with your motion being said, that there should be a time limit on this motion because of what's involved, and stating that unless this building and this is pursued within the next year, then this motion, in other words, the request that would be either denied or granted would not be in effect, would die. In other words, this is not a lifetime guarantee, okay? Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that, yes.
Okay, and add that as a part of the motion. And also, as a result of this, that everything within that building, if it's approved, the lighting, the shielding of condensers, hours of operation, landscaping, would all be in compliance with what would be asked of you all in the neighborhood, okay? And the driveway is subject to highway department. And if that, I'm assuming that if the highway department should turn you down on that driveway, that you would go ahead and use the other driveway and proceed. I'm making that assumption, but is that correct?
Yes.
In other words, is this saying that if you don't get that second driveway, that the deal is not ago, but you're saying that even if you don't get the second driveway, that the highway department disapproves it, that you still could operate out of one driveway. Is that correct?
It just, in our mind, it creates a little more bottleneck in and out of the property because we could build the building.
But you can then operate out of one driveway. Okay, with that being said, and the additions to the motion, then a second's in order. Motion been made.
I'll second.
All right. Motion been made and seconded. Mr. Stewart, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Armbruster,
No.
Mr. Molly,
Yes.
Ms. Peters,
Yes.
Mr. Newsom.
Yes. Motion carries. And we thank you for coming. Okay. Mr. Stewart, do you have any other items on the agenda for this evening, please?
Not for this evening, sir.
All right, we have anything up and coming in the next 30 days?
We do have one in for August already.
We have one in for August, and any information that the board needs to be made aware of in this meeting?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. Okay, with that being said, it seems that, for some reason, that road down through there is getting a lot of activity lately as far as, I think there's a development beside the gas company is the, Kenton County Agricultural Office, or what is it?
That's what's going in there.
That's going in now beside the gas company, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Any development on those other properties yet? The properties that are for sale, the long property and that are joining those properties?
I've heard something, a possibility of development on the property, long property that's right next to the agricultural office,
Okay, I understand.
but I've
All
not
right.
seen anything
Okay,
firm,
very
so.
good. With that being said, motion's in order to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion been made, second?
second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Any idea when